Cars on the grid, shimmering in the heat haze here in Portimao in Portugal. Gabriele Tarquini starts from pole position with Ivan Muller, the blue Chevy, on the right of your picture. Then Norbert Michaelis, the BMW, Rob Huff in his Chevy Cruze in 4th position. And an all Royal Motorsport BMW Row 3, Tom Coronel and Alberto Cerchi, under the watchful gaze of our race director, Mirek Bartos. There you can see Michel Vaillant, the comic book character represented this weekend by Alain Menu's Chevrolet, not as a Chevrolet Cruze, but as a Gil 11, which is the most recent version of Michel Vaillant, the Vaillant company's road car turned touring car. Here is our world champion, triple world champion and reigning world champion and points leader Ivan Muller, who starts on the outside front row. And the final row of the grid, unfortunately for them, is an all-Ford affair. Thiago Monteiro, the local hero, the last man still standing with last year's 1.6 turbo Seat engine in. He had hoped for the new Oreca engine this weekend, but it has not been possible to get enough units built. Getting ready to wave away on the green flag lap. Martin Haven and Matt Neal trackside here in Portimao, waiting for the action to get underway. And Matt, the rolling start, the BMW third on the grid will get no advantage from that. We've got to be looking at this red and white car of Gabriele Tarquini, because standing start or rolling start, he is, for my money, the best starter in this field.
Yeah, Tarquini is the pace setter where he goes for starting, as you say, getting off from a standing start or rolling, but with the rolling start, he sets the pace, so it has to be between a minimum and a maximum speed. I think it's between 40 and 60k. One thing they've been going on about here, and they were going on about this morning, is that they have to stay in the line of the boxes, which is very, very difficult, because each driver, you sit so low down and far back in these cars that when you're close behind in the crocodile coming up to the rolling start, you cannot see the red light to go out. So they all try and nip out just a wee bit, just to try and catch a glimpse of the red light so they don't get jumped. And this is where it all fans out and they move out their boxes. So the boxes are very close together, so it is going to be a problem here. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them all hauled up and drive through, but you know, it's going to be tight. And then we get down to turn one. We've got two very, very quick turn ones and turn one and turn two into an extremely tight second gear turn three, where you know it could all kick off and go horribly wrong.
On board with Michel Vaillant, and you can see Menu's car liveried up in a very different colour scheme from what we're expecting. The red Lada of James Thompson, and he had some issues in practice with power steering and in qualifying as well, so we'll have to wait and see whether the 2 tins of spinach that he had like Popeye this morning help him. Climbing out of the hairpin at turn 6 over the fast flowing brow. This is a really dynamic track, Matt. It rises and falls. It's not little change, it's massive grades up and down about a third of the track. Like here, you're just heading up into the sky, nothing in front of you, over a blind brow. It demands absolute commitment, perhaps almost as much as a street circuit does.
I mean, so many blind crests, and you know, and so many tight corners for tyre wear. You know, we've got 15. It's a 15 corner lap. We've got 5 second gear corners where it literally doubles back on itself, and 6 fifth gear corners where you need the car really well balanced, good set of tyres underneath you. So it's got a heap of everything, but you do need knowledge of this place, because I mean, you just see from the driver's point of view here, the driver's eye view, so much blind going on. You know, you've got to have faith in the car in front of you and behind you.
Absolutely right. We saw 2 years ago when we raced here, lots of drivers trying to invent little new passing places and coming a cropper as a result. Back row of the grid, James Nash in front of us as we ride with our 22nd and last starter, Tom Chilton. They were quick in morning warm-up, the Fords. Is it a temperature issue? Well, the temperature is definitely much warmer on the track than at any time this weekend, and that is possibly going to bring tyre danger. And then the Zengo Motorsport Garage, like everybody else, watching the action as they sweep over this final brow. And this will be the last time at anything approaching a sensible pace. Next time round at full race pace, they will be absolutely flying over there, fully lit and hanging on. Now, the other thing to notice as we get to the rolling start is how close together in the middle of the track the grid boxes are. Gabriele Tarquini in the red and white Lucol Seat paces the field towards the lights. They're still red and they will change barely as they get under the gantry. Around 60 kilometers an hour. It's a very good looking field. Fanning out a little on the driver's left, on the right of your screen. And finally they get the go. Michel Vaillant on the left hand side. The red, white and blue of Alain Menu shows well, but Tarquini again controlling the start. Menu on the inside, but Muller goes around the nose of Tarquini and goes through for the lead immediately. Ivan Muller taking no prisoners. 2 or 3 guys running out of road on the exit. That won't cause them any damage. Muller leads, Tarquini second, Huff third. 4th place is Mikulits, 5th is Coronel, 6th Checky gets a nudge from Thiago Monteiro, and that's the sort of thing that can break steering. 7th place was Menu, stroke right behind us as we ride with Monteiro, stroke Michel Vaillant, and Huff looking for a pass on Tarquini immediately. We talked about this before, that it's going to be much harder for Huff to pass Tarquini than it will be for Muller to get by.
Well, firstly, Martin, that was a big, brave manoeuvre off Muller around the outside of turn 1, but it was a must move. Now, it's Huffy's worst nightmare to have Tarquini in between him and Muller, because Muller's ahead on points. He needs to keep Muller under pressure to try and force him into it. Oh.
Dudicalo sideways over the nose of Menu Vaillant's car.
I don't think Vaillant drove like that.
Well, occasionally he has to. Pepe Oriola coming through the field, and Alex McDowell in the red and white Chevy with the Union flag inside Gabor Weber. Gabor Weber, don't forget, started 7th. He was 12th at the end of sector 1. Oriola runs out of road and can't get it back on, nor can Dudicalo. You go off on the affair. No, he's taken Weber with him. That is Weber and Dudicalo. Weber couldn't avoid the spinning Seat, and they are both in the gravel trap, and I'd be surprised if they get out, which means safety car.
I reckon they'll get out. The gravel traps.
No, they're not going anywhere. They are buried. We will have a safety car at the end of this lap. I can't imagine we wouldn't. That's a really awkward place, Matt. That's flat out over the brow, blind.
That's a great shot. You can see the gradient change and how the road drops away and, you know, unweights the car, and then as the cars come down, they go into full compression. But yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't get a safety car at the end of this one.
Well, not yet. They're trying to let the marshals do their job. They've got a minute though. Huff looking at Tarquini for second. Gabriele turns in across his nose. Cherki with Thiago Monteiro going around the outside, and Vaillant, Menu looking for them. That is 6th, 7th and 8th. Alberto Cherki punching well above his weight, having a really good run. Teammate Coronel in 5th as Muller climbs the hill, and then Tarquini, Huff, Mikulits in 4th place from Coronel. Monteiro has gone by Cherki for 6th. Huff looking down into the hairpin, very bumpy under braking there, really agitates the tyres, Matt.
Yeah, the road drops away, and it's a big key braking area. It's their 6th gear, so they're pulling probably 130, 140 mile an hour down to a tight 2nd gear, and they need the punch, so they're going to be playing with the anti-lag system on the turbo boost to try and give themselves maximum punch, but especially in this heat they can't afford to run it all the time, so they're going to be up and down on it like a yo-yo. Gravel
trap is clear. Yellow flags have been withdrawn over this brow, so that was great work by the marshals. No safety car. Thiago Monteiro trying to pick his way further up the order from 6th. There's Michel Vaillant, stroke Alain Menu. He's in 8th place with Alec McDowell behind him. Let's have a look what happens here. Daste and Oriola go wide. Watch the orange car. Weber up the inside. Dudicalo tries to come back on. Doesn't really look in his mirrors, and Weber is, well, the momentum takes him wide out of the corner. He's got nowhere to go. He knows McDowell is boxing him in on his right.
Well, I think that's a little bit of spatial awareness on both parts. You know, Dudicalo came on far too quick, but was it Michelitz or Weber?
No, that was Weber. If you're coming back on the track, you've got to make sure it's safe to do so.
You've got to be aware of what's going on around you.
Well, I think Weber knew he had McDowell alongside him, and he was right. He did. So if he'd swerved, he would have taken Alex off as well, and probably still not avoided Dudicalo, who was swerving on quite wildly. In the background, Cherki trying to defend 7th against Menu, and surely Alain will have the drop on him. He does. He goes through. Alec McDowell behind in 9th place. Ooh, and Cherki and McDowell make contact there, yes, and Alex McDowell still on the inside with that Bamboo Engineering Chevy, and into this tight hairpin. This is about a 140-degree hairpin, and Matt, it's so crucial because you climb very steeply out of there.
Yeah, this turn 4, isn't it, which they're just going through. They've all had a big warning through there through using too much road on the exit. There's a big tyre stack on the way on the apex in, and maximum amount of speed, because they're up to 6th gear on the run down to turn the hairpin at turn 5.
Climbing the hill comes Alex McDowell, Alberto Cecchi behind him, then Mehdi Benani, Pepe Oriola. Incident involving car 4 and 7. That is Alexei Dudicalo and Gabor Weber under investigation, as you might imagine. Dudicalo and Weber both made it back to the pits, so great news for them. There is Gabor Weber. Not great news to be in the pits, but it means you can hear in the background air hammers. We saw Dudicalo's car being worked on. It means the team have got this whole race to fix the car ready for race 2.
Yeah, they're just going to be pulling the wheels off, trying to get the gravel out of the thing. The thing's going to be full to its axles with gravel, so it gets in the air intake. You know, they just got to clear it all out, and they've got a solid grid position for race 2, so they just got to work around that.
Well, this black and orange BMW of Norbert Michelis still in 4th. He's the top runner in the Yokohama Independence Trophy. There you can see Richard, the chief engineer of Bamboo Engineering. Alex McDowell in 3rd place at the moment in the Yokohama Trophy, and currently running 9th overall. Muller pulling away 1.1 ahead of Tarquini and Huff, and Michelis is right there. And in the background, here comes the red, white and blue of Menu in the colours of Michel Vaillant, and he's trying to go by Thiago Monteiro. Thiago goes deep inside. Now, can he cut back Menu? Yes, he can.
That's a good move.
Not a great time to
They'll have the inside for turn 3.
Not a great time to go for a view from Muller's camera. I think we were trying to get on board with Monteiro, who drifted out wide there. Mehdi Benani. Matt, there are so many places where if you drift a tiny bit wide, you really pay for it.
I just felt Monteiro was getting back again at Menu, so we're just missing that, seeing the replay.
Yeah, may well be. This is previously on the straight.
See, Menu just gets a cracking toe up the straight. You can see his windscreen going now, but he's at peak speed.
Yeah, well, you know, they're touching 150 miles an hour here, Matt, on 2 or 3 places on the circuit. So this is a very, very quick roller coaster as well. It doesn't just go up and down and round and round. It does it at high speed.
The reason you can see the windscreen flexing is because it's not made of glass. It's made of Perspex. Or Flexon, or I can't remember the material, but it's ultra thin. These cars are all about saving weight, getting the weight low down in the car, and so they get up to the high speeds. That's where you do start, as a driver, you start to see things moving and flexing.
Yeah. Looking back from the Vaillant of Michel Vaillant. And here is Pasquale Di Sabatino. That's at the hairpin at turn 4. Inside, James Nash just making contact with the Ford, and he's battling with Nash and Chilton. So he's in a Ford sandwich. Again, look at the car move up onto tippy toes over that brown mat, and you really feel the world dropping away under you there.
Yeah, the danger thing now for Huffy is Michelitz is hanging on, or he's hung on in the opening few laps, which is where the BMW was going to struggle. So he's less than a second behind Huffy. This second half of the race as we're moving into, it could see Michelitz sort of coming into the frame more.
Yeah. Absolutely right. He could easily be on the podium, and if things don't go right with the front-wheel drive cars, he could easily win this. Thiago battling in the foreground against Alex McDowell, and in the background, that was Daste and Oriola shaping up.
I can't...
Oh, well held, Thiago. Rule 1 of driving a front-wheel drive car, keep your foot in and let the car pull its way out of the slide. And Matt, that was a classic example of how front wheels pull you around compared to the BMW that's being pushed around from the back.
Well, it's not always the case. Sometimes you've got to come out the throttle. These modern front-wheel drive race cars, they do handle like a rear-wheel drive until you get to beyond 90 degrees, and then you've got to give it everything, you know, 100% throttle. But
that's when I take my hands off the wheel and let the car sort it out.
Close your eyes.
Yeah, suspension engineers are cleverer than me. That's what I was taught when I was given my Mini. Don't lift. So this now is Alain Menu for 5th place with Tom Coronel. Bearing in mind, Menu started in 9th, and he was saying after qualifying, very disappointed with that, really want to make up some ground in race 1. Of course, Muller from 2nd to 1st has done what he could. Huff from 4th to 3rd has done what he can, but Menu is the man that has made up the ground.
See the tighter line that Chevy can hold, much better than the BMW. But
now Bernani on that runoff track seems to have caused him a puncture. This is McDowell again with Cherki. Inside comes Oriola and Daste, and Alex McDowell losing a bit of pace here. This is the battle for 8th, 9th, 10th and 11th, and Alberto Cherki comes back inside. Great racing in the background.
Daste's not, he's been a bit, he's letting Oriola know he's there, isn't he?
In the background, Oh Young and Charles Eng in front of Franz Engstler are having a titanic wheel-to-wheel as well. And they're all starting to run out of tyre now, Matt. The cars are looking a lot more squirmy.
Yeah, you can see the fronts break away and then the rears break away. It's almost like you've got to pivot down the centre of the car, the feeling to drive. It's, Menu's got Coronel.
Yeah, got Coronel. That's for 5th position. So great drive by Alain Menu. Don't forget, starts 2nd on the race 2 grid. Could easily see Michel Vaillant win a race in real life instead of just in a comic.
Well, Menu needs to make up as many positions as he can, because Muller is one of the best in the world at getting through traffic, negotiating his way through.
Look who's sniffing at the back of this group, the red car of James Thompson. That's the Lada Priora. Now, this is what Tomo wants, to get his nose into a fight. You see in the background that big 4-car battle as Menu gets by Coronel and then closes the door on him to make sure Tom can't come back into turn 1. And there, playing the part of Jean-Pierre Vaillant, Michel's older brother and team boss. Joint owner of the car company, of course, is Eric Neve. On board, great view of how early he had the run on
Menu's. He's got
Coronel.
A good exit, but he's picked up a good toe on the first half of the straight.
And that's uphill, so the toe works even more then. Anything that helps you go quicker uphill is a real advantage. Alberto Cherki in front of the Seat of Pepe Oriola. Then Alex McDowell, Stefano Daste's BMW, and Tomo desperately trying to catch this group before the yellow Seat of Daryl O'Young catches him.
Well, if Tomo's now in the area where he's going to start picking up some of the aerodynamic toe down the straight, so he should start benefiting.
That's what the squeal from the camera was. That's Charles Eng. He was battling with Daryl O'Young, and he is rejoined behind the Fords. Gabor Weber's car being taped up.
A few flesh wounds there.
Yeah, quite a few. Oriola at the moment is in 9th. McDowell 10th. Daste 11th. Tomo's there. Closing. Looks like he's still got power steering. He said it did 4 laps in a row without failing in this morning's warm-up. He said that's not 11, but it's a start.
This is Tomo's last race before he decamps and moves to Ibiza for the summer, and then just commutes to the races from there. So
him and James Blunt, obviously.
he's going to commute to the flyways from Ibiza, which is not a bad deal, is it?
May as well hop over to Madrid. You may as well be there as any other European city. So it's probably going to be a little warmer than Leeds as well. Tomo now right with Daste. And this is what he wants. He wants to get the car into a real sleeves rolled up racing battle so that he knows a little bit more about it. They're learning about that Lada every minute. Now, Muller has never had more than 1.1 seconds over Tarquini. It's 1.039 at the moment. Huff is right up Gabrielik's exhaust, half a second behind him. Mikulits has dropped away a little. He's 1.8 seconds behind Huff. No longer as much of a threat. So what's going on here? Tyre temperatures are high. The front wheel drive cars should be struggling, but on lap 8 of 11 or lap 7 of 11, Mikulits has dropped off the pace.
Yeah, but that did happen at Salzburgring, didn't it, Martin? You know, they pushed and had the pace on the BMWs, but the PMWs lasted. So it surprised me a little bit, because I know they've all gone a lot safer. You know, the Chevrolet are very conscious of tyre wear, and they were doing some race runs in free practice, as were Seat, and as were a lot of the other top teams. But I thought they might have had to knock their performance back a bit more than this for the races.
Incident involving cars 8 and 4. Well, 8 is Menu, 4 is Dudicalo. I think they mean Menu and 18, Thiago Montero, because it was Montero that got sideways.
Or was it the first lap? Did
he have an instinct with Dudicalo? Oh, yeah, he did, yes. Yes, he did. Yeah, sorry, I'll take that all back. Mehdi Bernani, you saw in the foreground there, just about 6 or 7 seconds ahead of our race leader, Yvan Muller. And here is Alex McDowell. He is in 10th place, Alex McDowell.
Yeah, Tomo's now in the Lada, and he's lapping quicker than all 4 cars in front of him, I think.
Yeah. 1:58.7 his last lap. Oh no, they're doing 57.
Yeah,
So in fact, that last lap they started to pull away a little, which means they've stopped fighting with each other. As you can see, they're starting to spread out a little bit, and if they're not trying to outbrake each other, they're going quicker. Leader 1:56.6 from Muller last time round. The two cars behind him in a 56s, but Mikulits a 57.5, full seconds slower, as into the pits comes James Nash. Now, he was in 17th place. Tom Chilton is now in 17th. What issues has Nash got? That's Darrell O'Young's yellow car, defending 13th from Franz Engstler. Engstler coming down the inside into the hairpin. Saw a lot of that in the historic touring cars, didn't we? Getting the tail to step out under braking. Well, he sort of just about parked that at the apex, but it shows that the rear-wheel drive cars are going to struggle for grip at the end of this race, just like everybody else.
Yeah, through the 4th gear, turn 7, into the very tight 2nd gear, turn 8, where it doubles back on itself again. Up the hill, over the blind crest, climbing up through the gears, flat in 5th gear through here. Up to turn 10, where they go blind, head straight for the apex curve, where it hooks back on itself through 11, back down to 2nd gear, trying to get the power down as the road drops away. Again, flat through this left-hander, 4th, 5th gear, then hard on the brakes, back down to 2nd. Again, the road hooks back on itself as they fight for grip. Front-wheel drive's really scrabbling out of here. Then into the last section before we get to the final part of the race. 14, 15 and 16, this is where the road really drops away. Big, long right-hander. Front will go, see the front will go, the rear will go, then the car goes into compression here. Maximum speed they're trying to get as they come onto the start-finish straight.
Well, great view from Stefano Dastev, what the corner looks like, and also what it was doing to Alex McDowell's car. The car weaving around, front going, rear going, front going, rear going. And still out front is Ivan Muller, Gabriele Tarquini, Rob Huff. That looks pretty much, unless something unforeseen happens to be set in stone, lap 9 of 11. They haven't started slowing down yet. There you can see the Bamboo Engineering pit wall. There is Rob Huff in 3rd place. You know, he will still try desperately to get through. James Nash out of the car. He's parked up, so obviously he had some fairly major issue. The team will work on that in the remaining couple of laps before the car goes into Parc Fermé. Charles Eng and does he get by Tom Chilton? Yes, he does. And Charles Eng, Drift King. And needs a few of the drift skills there, doesn't he?
Nice, easy pass there from Tom.
Yeah. That was a gimme. That's the battle for 17th. In fact, Charles Eng had just got by Tom and then gave it away again.
Yeah, so Martin, this fight at the front, it is definitely not over yet. We've got 2 laps to go, and you know, I think Huffy could pull one out for us.
And you wonder who is going to have to ease the pace a fraction to preserve their tyres first. Muller's fastest lap was a 54.5, which might have been lap 2 or 3 maybe. Now they're in the high 56s, a 56.7, so 2.2 seconds slower than they can go. The question is, has any of them got any option of going any faster? Alberto Cerchi in the blue and white BMW looking inside Thiago Monteiro, and that is for 7th place.
Definitely the front wheel drives are going to be starting to feel the tyres now. Yeah, they're going to be sort of getting a bit hot, bit squidgy, a few noises coming in. They're losing a lot of rubber, so you know, a few. Oh, it was getting wide out there. Very wide out there, wasn't he? Now that's the exit of the final corner coming down the straight towards us. Flashing the headlights is Tom Coronel in 6th. Then Alberto Cerchi pulls out. Coronel's teammate. He's 2nd in the Yokohama Trophy. Mikulits, as you can see, in 4th place. He's the Yokohama Trophy points leader at the moment in this race. And 3rd in the Yokohama Independence Trophy is Alex McDowell, ahead of Stefano Daste. And Alex needs good points. Points mean prize money. What's happened to Tomo? He slowed right down. And that is not a power steering issue, not coming down a hill in a straight line. That's something else. Well, it is lap 10 of 11, and on his own there in 5th place, Alemeniu is, what, 5 seconds behind Norbert Mikulits. He's not got the pace. Menu is in the test car this weekend. That's the only thing, because his car was pretty badly wrecked from Salzburg Ring, but he hasn't had the race pace, has he, for all the qualifying. But then again, you see, he really wants the points. So now if he finds himself 5 seconds behind Mikulits and not able to close... Look after the tyres. Yes. Yeah.
make sure you get to the end, because the last thing you want to do is death it trying to catch Michaelis in a bit of a vain run and have a tyre explode a lap from home.
For sure, it would have taken a lot out of his tyres trying to get through the traffic, because one, you're not driving the perfect line, but two, it's following close proximity, as we can see these guys now. It takes the aerodynamic flow off the front of your car and costs you downforce, and you just give your tyres a harder time.
Now they're almost looking like they're starting to fall over each other, that battle there. Charles Eng, I was just about to say, has joined Gabor Weber, Mehdi Banani and James Nash in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Thiago, look at the correction there. Front wheel tells its own story there, doesn't it? He was hanging on to that slide over the brow. There's no respite there for Montero, is there? Alberto Cecchi still right up behind him. Behind them, Oriola, McDowell and Daste. That could turn into a last lap funhouse. And Cecchi definitely not giving up any hopes of getting by Montero. Around the outside, not enough room. Looking again, no. That's guarded. Can he get up the inside under braking? Not here. But we need to follow this to the hairpin, because you've got to think that he's going to have a run. He's already starting to climb the hill inside him. Not enough room there.
You can see the good traction on that BMW as he punches out of turn 3.
Last lap, Muller's safely out of the hairpin. No dramas there. Down we come to the hairpin at turn 5. And Montero, Cherki, then Oriola, McDowell and Daste. This is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. James Thompson has dropped right to the back of the field, has not come into the pits though, so I think he's trying to keep it circulating, or maybe he just hasn't made it to the pits yet. He's not completed sector 3.
Thiago looks as though he's really having to work hard. He's not going to be counting the laps down. He's going to be counting the corners down, getting to the end of this race.
Yeah, and praying that he gets to 15 instead of only getting to 13 before a tyre lets go, because his car has really worked hard. And these three at the front, Matt, although they've been in the same positions, it doesn't mean that they haven't been working their tyres extremely hard as well to stay where they are in respect of each other.
Yeah, I'd like to think Muller's just pacing himself, just monitoring the gap, but he's got to be careful he doesn't let Tarquini too close, because he gets into the last lap, gets a real good aerodynamic tow and gets a good slipstream down the start finishing straight. He's
checkered flag is close enough. Tarquini had a run, and the gap of victory was 0.336 seconds for Ivan Muller. Huff third, Michaelis fourth, Menu stroke Vaillant will be fifth. There he goes. Coronel in sixth, and here comes Thiago Montero for seventh, ahead of Alberto Cecchi. If the finish line was where the start line is, we could have had a whole different bag.
I was thinking it was, actually.
Yeah, a whole different kettle of fish. So Ivan Muller wins it, took the lead in corner 1, and actually looked back almost all the race, I would have thought. We saw him in after free practice, after morning warm-up rather, adjusting his interior mirror so he could use it to see out the driver's right of his car, the side that he's not sitting in that left-hand drive car. And
that move won him the race.
They absolutely did. He knew where Gabrielli was.
Big brave move on turn 1, and that won him the race.
Knew where Gabrielli was, and knew, because they weren't going in there at full normal racing speed, they crossed the start line, instead of doing 120, 130, doing about 50 miles an hour. So they were going in at much reduced speed, so it wasn't quite the risk that it would have been at full speed on lap 2.
Yeah, Martin, I mean, the acceleration on these cars is pretty impressive, and the weight of them. So they'd have been going at a fair old lick by the time they arrived at turn 1, lap 1.
Plus cold tyres, lack of pressure as well. So yeah, it would have been a hang-on moment. Now, I'm not underestimating how tough it is to get by Gabriele Tarquini around the outside, but it might have been even tougher if he'd had to try it on lap 2. Muller then is our winner, and Huff has limited the damage. He's lost 10 points to him, but it could have been worse. If Michaelis had managed to get in amongst them, then Huff could have lost further ground. So what was 8 points coming in is a 10-point margin after qualifying. Muller doubles that in race 1. Starts behind Huff in race 2. Muller will be 9th on the grid, Huff 7th. So Rob has to make hay then, has to get through the traffic faster, and then has to hope that Ivan somehow gets hooked up behind somebody and gets a bit blocked in. But for this man, Alain Menu, still third in drivers' points. He was 5th here, which was probably about as high as he could get. And he starts race 2 from the front row. There's Justine, looking fairly happy and relaxed. Ivan again on pole position. Justine Monnier, his long-time girlfriend.
How many wins is that for Ivan? The show, is that his 6th win?
That will be a 6th win this year, yes. And career-wise, let me find the right piece of paper. Yeah, win number 6 this season for him. And what have I done with my career stats? I think that is now win number 27. I was going to say 26. No, 26 was last time. So win number 27 of his career.
That makes him the most... Is he the most winning driver of all time?
Yeah, the next closest is Huff on 20.
Wow.
Yeah, so he really has. I mean, this season especially, with 6 wins already, we're only on race 13. This season already, you know, he's batting a 50% average at the moment. A phenomenal job that Muller's doing.
That's quite annoying for everyone else, isn't it? It's
quite annoying for everyone, yeah. It's not just his rivals.
Including Rob.
Yeah.
No, impressive though.
Yeah, absolutely so. You know, you just can't take it away. There's no point even trying to pretend that he's pot hunting and you know, shooting against an open goal. Not even remotely. He is doing the best job in the best car, but he is doing the best job.
Yeah, Chevrolet is a class package. They've got together. It's a great car, but you know, they've got some of probably the strongest driver lineup out there, and you know, but you've still got to drive the thing. You've still got to steer it around and pedal it. So it's fair play to Muller.
Well, Justine is down there with Ivan, and saw Rob's sister down there and his girlfriend as well, Eric Neve or Jean-Pierre Vaillant down there as well. Actually, in a press conference this morning, they said to Eric, what would have happened if a Chevrolet had been on pole position? Because habitually he wears a bow tie to celebrate pole position on Sunday morning. He said, no, I think in my role as Jean-Pierre Vaillant, of course, I couldn't be wearing a Chevrolet bow tie. Like Alain Menu, he grew up with the books as a child and as a teenager, reading them avidly and devouring them, and he's really living the part. And as for Spider-Man, well, we were thinking who would be the villain? Who could, because there's got to be a villain, hasn't there? In the film that Luc Besson made at Le Mans in 2003, Perry McCarthy was the villain. He was one of the 3 drivers in the Black Baddies car, the original Stig, and he was the baddie. We thought, Gabrielli's a shoe-in, isn't he? Bald head already. All he needs is a fluffy white cat.
Yeah, but if you Jimmy Thompson, he's the other. You give him a Stetson, he's Lee Van Cleef now, isn't he? Yeah. So he's the ultimate villain.
And of course, the Lada's a very different-looking car from anything else. A matte black wrap, that would have been great. And Jimmy, with the long hair and with the 3 Musketeers beard, he'd have done really well. Well, mingling with the great and the good is Ben Colson-Duras. Let's hear from our 2 winners.
6th win of the year for Ivan Muller, but Gabrielli definitely kept you honest, didn't he?
Yeah, for sure. He gave me the pressure until the end of the race, but I could manage to stay on the front.
And a very brave move at the start.
Yeah, I try, but it passed.
Thank you very much, Ivan. Norbert, a very strong race from the BMW for your independent win.
Yeah, important points again, but I was wondering a little bit because the pace was in the second half of the race not good. So I was trying to ease the tires in the first couple of laps. I felt that I can go the pace of the front runners, but at the end it was missing. So yeah, I'm happy with the result, but yeah, I was targeting a podium finish.
So to present the trophy for our 3rd-placed driver from Euronics, Britta Weiser, hands the trophy to Rob Huff. Second place, Gabriele Tarquini. I think she might get a kiss, yeah, no question about that. He's an Italian to the end. And our race winner, 3-time world champion, Ivan Muller. Well, Norbert Mikulits in the BMW 4th place. He said targeting an overall podium, and in the opening couple of laps, it definitely looked like that might have been possible. The Portuguese NSA, National Sporting Authority, FPAC, presenting the trophy to the winning manufacturer. There is Zoltan Zengo, who runs the eponymous Zengo Motorsport team. And representing Yokohama, Victor Manuel Canizares, the VP of Marketing here, handing the Yokohama trophy to Norbert Mikulits. Well, Norbert coming in here, 10 points behind Pepe Oriola. Oriola in 3rd place in the Yokohama standings. So it is 12-10. Okay, that could have closed the gap down to about 6 points, I think.